I am a grateful alcoholic. My name's Kip. Sobriety date's July the 8th, 2010. 12 steps, 12 traditions, 12 years this year. So that was good. I really enjoyed that. It ain't going to be long. We'll go to 13, hopefully, one day at a time. Got a sponsor, and I sponsor a few gentlemen. And I've got a home group, which is the Safe Shelter Group, meets in Greensboro Cathedral of His Glory, Monday night for an open discussion meeting at 7 p.m. AA approved literature. Thursday night, AA Big Book, 7 p.m. and 8 o'clock for open speaker meeting on Friday night. And I started a Zoom meeting, and y'all are welcome if you'll take this down. AAZoomaholic.com will bring you right into the meeting at 7:30 a.m. every morning for a beginner's meeting. If you want to stay in contact with me, you can come on to that meeting every morning. And this Wednesday night, if you ever heard of Karen R., she lives in Tampa, and she wrote the story, Crossing the River of the Now, and she will be sharing her experience, strength, and hope on our Zoom meeting Wednesday night, nc23.org. You'll find the Zoomaholic speaker meeting, AA Zoomaholic speaker meeting. I started that when the pandemic started, and we got 70, 80 people, 60, 70 people. Chuck, that's where I met Chuck on the Zoom, and I've seen him in person here, and conventions, North Carolina State Convention, so forth. I want to thank the committee first and foremost for everything, and I also want to thank each speaker tonight personally for sharing your experience, strength, and hope. Cal, Travis, Dan, and I'm looking forward to hearing Elaine. Y'all, hey, I always say my story got me here, your story keeps me here. I love to hear an Alcoholics Anonymous, and we need to give this guy over here, Jeff, a hand. He's doing the tape over here. Make sure y'all get a tape from him. I'm telling you, he's doing a good job. I mean, it's not for my story, but, just help keep the conference going. I'm sure we need to do that, right? It's just a beautiful thing to be asked to do anything for Alcoholics Anonymous. I made a commitment to Alcoholics Anonymous on July the 8th, 2010, and I'm going to share with you how I got here. It wasn't a pretty sight, but I'm here. And by God's grace and mercy, I go to AA every day. My judge said, "Did you drink every day?" I said, "Yeah, I drink every day." "Well, you might ought to go to an AA meeting every day." And I do. 12 years later, I still go to AA meeting just about. Very rare do I miss an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting every day. So I'm going to give you a little icebreaker because I love to start my story a little bit, just to get comfortable. Oh, and Dennis, I want to thank Dennis and Dennis I got them confused. Dennis for asking me to come speak, and Dennis for chairing the meeting. I hope I don't leave nobody out. If I did, I apologize. But I like to do a little icebreaker, tell a little AA, well, it's not an AA joke, but it's, use your imagination. There's this guy and his wife. They're driving down the road, just moseying along, no problem, just not a care in the world, driving down the road, and the police pull him over. Guy's got a broken tail light. Police come up to the window and says, "Sir, did you know you had a broken tail light?" The guy said, "No, I didn't. I'm so sorry, sir. I promise you tomorrow I'll get that checked out." His wife said, "I told you 2 weeks ago you had a busted tail light. You needed to get that fixed." He said, "Be quiet. He's talking to the police." Then, "Let me see your driver's license, sir." And he hands him his driver's license, and police looked at it, and he said, "Sir, did you know that your driver's license was expired?" And he said, "No, sir, I didn't know my license was expired, but I promise you tomorrow, first thing, I'll get that straightened out and get it renewed. I promise." His wife said, "I told you 3 months ago you got a letter from the DMV that your license was expired and that you needed to have them renewed." And now this guy is cussing his wife. He's blankety-blanker, telling her to be quiet, shut the all. And the police officer looks over at the wife and says, "Does your husband always talk to you like that, man?" She said, "No, only when he's drunk." So there he goes again. Again, I'm a grateful alcoholic. My name's Kip. I want to share something with you why I continue to do this. I heard this reading, and I want to share it with you. and I want you to think about giving it away. And how do you keep what you got? You got to give it away. There was a farmer who grew excellent quality corn. Every year he won the award for the best grown corn. One year a newspaper reporter interviewed him and learned something interesting about how he grew it. The reporter discovered that the farmer shared his great seed, best seed, with his neighbors. How can you afford to share your best great seed, corn, with your neighbors when they are entering corn into competition with yours each year? The reporter asked. Why, sir, said the farmer, didn't you know the wind picks up pollen from the ripening corn and swirls it from field to field? If my neighbors grew inferior corn, cross-pollination will steadily degrade the quality of my corn. If I am to grow good corn, I must help my neighbors grow good corn. So is this with our lives. Those who want to live meaningfully and well must help enrich the lives of others. For the value of a life is measured by the lives it touches. And those who choose to be happy must help others find happiness, for the welfare of each is bound up with the welfare of all. Our common welfare must come first. Our recovery depends upon AA unity. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but y'all know what I mean, the tradition number one. And it took me till I was 40 years of age to understand the we part of the program. I always thought it was me, I, self, and me. Ism, I, self, and me. I've got that ism. Internal spiritual malady, that's what I call ism. I grew up in a good Christian home. My parents had me in church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday night, every vacation Bible study, every revival, every singing. Went to the prison and they shared the body. I was involved in an independent Baptist church, King James Bible, God-fearing, God-loving, Bible-believing church. Every Sunday. I didn't want to get up and go, but I went, and after I went, I felt better about going, even as a kid. I got introduced to my higher power there, and it's still the same power. My perception, I got a disease of perception. My thoughts and my mind is skewed. I've got that keen alcoholic mind. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but I've got that. And I nailed it to the T. Anyway, I think somebody's calling. It's usually me. Anyway, I was brought up right. I was taught good morals, good values. And I'm going to bring you to my great excuse. I heard somebody say one time, be stronger than your excuses. And that stuck with me. I use that. I walk with that every day. Be stronger than your excuses. I got this great excuse. When I was 14, I took my first drink. My dad was diagnosed with kidney stones back in the 70s, and the doctor prescribed him to drink one beer. We never had no beer in the house other than because the doctor prescribed it to him and told him to drink one beer a day to flush out his system. This was in the 1970s. I'm like 8, 9 years old, like 78, 79. I was born in the summer of 69. Some of y'all might know that Bryan Adams song. That puts me at 34 years old. 53. But anyway, I got into that a little bit. I don't remember anything that dramatically happened. The reason I did it is because my oldest brother did it. He was 6 years older than me, so I thought I should try it. But I don't remember much happening. Nothing. I didn't unleash the beast or nothing at that time because I was like 9 or 10 years old. But something dramatic happened to me. This is what I'm going to talk about, my great excuse. My mom got diagnosed with cancer. She was a Bible school teacher to the children at my age. Before, she just taught like from 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Anyway, I was in her Bible study class, and my mom had been sick before many times and got well and was okay. And I didn't understand what cancer, the C word is in 1983 is when she passed, but she contracted cancer. My dad used to get me to try to go up there to that hospital. Again, I'm 14 years old in 1983. And I'd go, but I never would really interact with my mom. I had some kind of shame. Does anybody at 14 want to be seen with their mom and their dad? I know I didn't. I just didn't. But I went to the hospital, but then 2 weeks before she passed was the last time I seen her because of my selfish, self-centered shamefulness. I did a 4th step on this and a 5th step. Well, all the steps with it, they all intertwined to me, but I know now why I was just ashamed. And she asked me, the last time I seen her was probably about 9 o'clock at night, 2 weeks before she passed. She said, "Kip, come give me a hug and a kiss goodbye." I walked right out the room like I didn't hear her, went on about my business. And I grew up in a mobile home park. It was upper class poor. It was a nice trailer park. We had a swimming pool and a pond, and you couldn't have junk lying around. You had to keep your grass mowed and all that stuff. So it was a decent trailer park. I lived there for 20 years, but from the time I was 2 to 22. But anyway, so I had a lot of friends in that trailer park. We ripped and run, you know what I mean? And when she passed, I didn't have a lot of feeling about it. I remember not having a lot of feeling about it, but I knew I was hurt. I was hurt by it, but it was just a weird feeling. I couldn't really pinpoint it. I didn't know how to grieve about it. I love my mama. I know today that I love my mama. I've made some living amends to her. And nobody ever really discussed with me, about death or anything. And, my mom's gone. She's dead. I'm there with my oldest brother was already married, and he's out on his own. So he's doing his thing. And I got a middle brother. So it's me, my dad, and my middle brother. My dad meets another woman. He's 43 years old at the time. I didn't understand. I'm like, how can you be? He was married to my mom for 25 years. And how is he getting involved with this woman now? I'm 14. Of course, I'm getting to the age where I'm really ready to start doing my thing. 15, he gets married. I didn't go to the wedding because I didn't know. By the way, I don't know about y'all, but I never knew I was resentful. It was just like so normal to me to be angry, upset, full flight from reality, I don't know, and a lot of it was fear-based. I learned since I've been here that anger is fear's bodyguard. Yeah, that's what I learned since I've been here. I'm like, wow, that's exactly right, because I use anger to cover up the fear that I had. So I was mad at him. I didn't want him to get remarried. He gets remarried. Stepmom comes in. Her kids are already grown, and she tries to take over the house, and I'm angry, and I'm mad at my dad. How dare he do that? But at the same time, I wanted to do my thing, but I didn't understand that he needed a woman, whatever, and that's okay. I understand it today. I didn't understand it then. Anyway, so I just didn't really never deal with that grief. I found that magic elixir, alcohol, and boy, I tell you, at first, I don't know about y'all, but I started, I'd get paid on Friday. I took carpentry in high school for 3 years, so I come out of high school, I graduated in 1987. That summer, I went straight into building houses with a guy making $10, $11 an hour, straight cash, what they call subcontract labor, but I never paid no taxes, by the way. I just took my money and ran. Who pays taxes? I do today, but back then, they ain't paying taxes. No, shoot, that's more drinking money. I earned that. Oh, shit. Anyway, my dad, and right when I graduated high school, we had this mobile home, me and my mom, and anyway, he said, I'm going to let you and your brother stay here. I'm going to move over here with my wife, which was my stepmom, over here, probably from here to the Hope building, if that far. It was in the same trailer park. And he said, all you got to do is pay the light bill. If you want a phone, pay the phone. If you want cable, pay the cable. But the house and all is paid for. You don't have to pay anything for that. And I couldn't even pay that. I felt I had this entitlement that he owed me. So I never paid anything. And when the lights got cut out, I'd say, you need to go pay the light bill. And he'd always do it. But I'd get paid on Friday. I don't know how many of y'all have been paid on Friday and be broke on Saturday. Have you? Has that ever happened? Man, I don't. You know how many times? The doctor's opinion talks about a vicious cycle. Man, I went through that vicious cycle. I don't know how many times where I got paid on Friday and probably broke before midnight, truth be known, because I like to do some extracurricular activities. Holly D calls it condiments, like shaking salt and pepper on my beer to make it do better, or my liquor. And I like that. I like that. So I do have outside issues, but I'm going to try to, y'all use your imagination. I keep it to Alcoholics Anonymous the best I can, because we are in Alcoholics Anonymous tonight. And so, I played the big shot, and I'd spend all my money buying people drinks and getting me some of that condiments, white substance. Then I learned how to, I was my own chemist. Who was the chemist here? Somebody said, yeah. I learned how to cook that stuff up. Cocaine's what I like to cook up. Anyway, I don't know if y'all know anything about that. But anyway, and that helped me drink more. And I'd be broke on Friday. And man, I'm talking about carpentry work. And, it ain't like working in the tobacco field, but it wasn't easy. Hauling 2x10s and trusses and 2x4s and working hard from 7 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m., every day, and then go home with $500-600 and then be broke by the end of the day. And then sometimes I'd volunteer to work on Saturday, but on Monday I'd go and ask the boss man to loan me, $20 or $30 or whatever. I couldn't even buy lunch. He's like, what are you doing with your money? Well, you know how we tell them stories. I had this bill and that bill and the other bill, and I just don't got no money. He knew what Anyway, I went through this, I don't know how many times, and just to make a long story short, I got to come to a crossroads. I'm like, this drinking's getting in the way of my working. But this working's getting in the way of my drinking. One of these has got to go. The only problem with this, guys, is when I quit working, guess what? I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money to drink. Well, guess what? I ain't thinking about working. I know I can lie, cheat, con, steal, and manipulate. I know how to write a bad check. You know how many bad checks I wrote? Oh my gosh. Y'all ain't ever wrote a bad? I wrote them on purpose. Pizza King, $20. It was like, I had free money. I used that for the longest till they come and got me and locked me up, put me in jail. And I got in that vicious cycle that we talk about. Man, I was in and out of jail I don't know how many times. Let me tell you, I'm not going to tell you and spend a long time on a long, drawn-out drunken law, but I've been to prison 5 times in the state of North Carolina. I've been to jail, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, 60 times behind my drinking. I never once had a DWI, but I thought I was invisible, that I could go into Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that, and they wouldn't see me. Well, they didn't for a while. And I'd come out with that stuff, and then I'd take it to the fence. So anybody know what a fence man is? I'd take it to the fence man. He'd give me at least maybe 50 cents on a dollar, or I'd take it back and get a gift card and sell it for 50 cents. Y'all never done it? Nobody ever done that? I'm the only one did that? Okay. Office Depot, man, I did real good with them. They didn't have a lot of security cameras. I got good at stealing, I thought. But anyway, long story short, here I go in 2000. I'm going to fast forward. I've been to prison 4 times. First of all, in 1989, I went to prison for the first time. And it was, it wasn't that bad, but it was, you'd think, minimizing. It ain't that bad. I went for 4 weeks into jail, prison, ain't that bad. And then I did 2 weeks on a 2-year sentence, misdemeanor time. And I was in there, and I got introduced to AA in prison, 1989. And I was like, man, that's great. Y'all good. I got out, and I'd tell myself, I'm not going to do that. Before my feet hit the road good, I was back doing the same thing. Anyway, doing that vicious cycle. I'm not going to do this. I do like the big book would say. I'd try to substitute my alcohol with, instead of liquor, just don't drink tequila. Oh my gosh, it makes you mean. Yeah. Don't drink tequila. But I did. I'd always go back and be full flight from reality, full of delusion. A lot of people say denial. I say delusion. I'm full flight from reality. I mean, off the reservation. I'm out of here. I'm done. Gone. Just gone. I'm telling you. I mean, and I was in, and I'm in and out. I got a possession of stolen property, 7 years, felony, my first felony. Got on probation. Didn't have to see the probation officer once every 3 months and couldn't do that. So they violated my probation. They ended up getting me going to prison. I did 10 months on that. Couldn't see my parole officer, so they made me go back and do 28 more months. That's 3 times. And then I ended up getting 11 to 14 month sentence one time. That's the 4th time. And then the 5th time, they said, Mr. Harris, here's 2 habitual criminal charges. Those are 80 to 105 months each. And you have 3 strikes. You're out. You're done. We're tired of seeing you. And I'm like, wow. I'm sitting in there on a $50,000 bond on some nonsense. Just, stealing something. By the way, if you steal something that don't belong to you, if you pawn something that don't belong to you, it's worth $20, that's a felony. I didn't know that. $20, whatever. If you steal something from Walmart and it's over $300 at the time, that's a felony. I didn't know that. And I always try to, and once I learned that, I'd always say, well, I got to keep it under 3. What kind of insane is that? Keep it under 300, just so I don't get a felony. Well, I couldn't do that. One time I did get one dismissed. I had $299.98, and they tacked on the tax, and my lawyer found a flaw, got me off for $299 because there wasn't no tax, because you can't tax me on something I stole. He got me off. I had to do some misdemeanor time. It's crazy, right? You'd think somebody would quit, right? I brought up right. I brought up in church. I'm like, I'm telling you, when it comes to Alcoholics Anonymous, I had some serious content prior to investigation. If I can't get sober the Jesus way in church, the way I was brought up, it ain't gonna happen. I promise you, it ain't gonna happen in Alcoholics Anonymous. God tried to get me to you in 1989. And I'm still going until 2010, by the way. And I've been in and out of, 2005, like I just told you, they hit me with 2 habitual criminals, which I deserved. Each one of them carried 180 to 105 months. I ended up pleading out for 42 to 54 months. And I went to prison in 2005, and I did 4 years to the day, almost to the day. And while I was in there, they got what you call a DART program, which is drug, alcohol, recovery, treatment, in prison. And I went through that, and I did so good that they asked me to be a peer counselor. And I began to do that. I started helping the guys, and I was telling them, make sure y'all go to them AA meetings when you get out. Make sure you go to them whatever NA meetings when you get out. When I got out, I'm good. I've been going to church. I've helped y'all. I have built up all this, what they talk about. They said, if we rest on our laurels, we're headed for trouble. We do. I can't stay sober on what I did yesterday. I found that out the hard way. And I got out. I'm good. I made it for 9 months. I still have the same thought, y'all. Boy, a 12-pack sure would be good. I don't know about y'all. I ain't never had a thought of 1 would be good. I always say 1 12-pack or 1/5 or 2/5 or a half a gallon or something sure would be good. I never said 1 beer. That ain't even a thought. So I got this thought. I still get these thoughts today, but today I got a defense because I got you guys. I got God of my understanding. If that thought comes, I dismiss it quickly. I got the 10th step promises going on in my life today. I recoil like from a hot flame. The problem's been removed from me today, but not then, because I wasn't working those steps. I didn't have no sponsor. Wasn't doing no meetings. Wasn't doing no service work. I'd go to church on occasion, and I started my own business back doing carpentry work. Blah blah blah. One day. Now, I ain't got no license. I ain't had no license since I was 20. When my license expired at 20, it was going to cost $20 to renew them. I wasn't going to pay that $20 because I needed that for fill in the blank. Wasn't going to be no license. So I got pulled over many times with driving with suspended license, expired license, then it turned into, revoked license. So that's how I just didn't get the DWI. But anyway, I did that 4 years. I got out, and I started my own business back. I always do good. We alcoholics, hard workers, right? We can figure a way to. We're gonna be all right if we can stay sober. I promise you, every one of us in here gonna be all right. I know this. And I was okay. I started a business. I had a guy. I didn't have no license. I had a guy. I bought a van. I got a guy. I had it legal. I had insurance on it, tags and everything. I just didn't drive it. I had him drive it. He had license, and I had it full of tools. And then I hadn't seen my dad in almost 5 years at this time, and here's my keen alcoholic mind. I hadn't seen my dad because he had wrote me off because I had stole a bunch of stuff from him, and he was tired of me, and I'm like, I'm good now. I ain't drank nothing in 4 years because of prison. 4 years and 9 months, I'm good. And I decided that one day I'm gonna jump in that van. I'm in Wake Forest. It's about an hour from my dad's house. I'm gonna go see my dad. 5:30, 6 o'clock. About halfway there, I got the thought, well, it sure is getting late. I probably shouldn't bother my dad today. Why don't we get that 12-pack that I said, well, I'm just going to drink one 12-pack. But first, let's go to the Budget Motel. If y'all don't know what the Budget Motel is in Greensboro, I said, let's go, because I used to hang out at that place and them places, a lot of them places. Yeah, at the Budget. Let's go there because the room's cheap. I'm just going to stay there for one night, and I'll just drink my 12-pack. Well, guys, as soon as I busted that 12-pack open, here comes a couple of the people that I know that what they got, what I want. They got it. I know they do. They know I got money, too. I look like I got money, even if I don't. Anyway, and, we got you. Well, 3 weeks later, guys, I left that motel. I had spent, I pawned every tool I had, gave the truck to the guy that was giving me the stuff. Y'all ain't never done that? Yeah, gave it to him. So he was coming back he'd say he'd be back in an hour, but it'd be about 4 or 5. I said, man, you got to give me 3 or 4 times that, and I need a little bit of cash for some beer too. So, and anyway. And this went on and on and on till the transmission went out of it. And then I go, oh my gosh, I'm lost, I'm busted. What am I going to do now? I ain't got no more money. I spent $10,000, guys, minimum, in 3 weeks. Gone crazy. Wow. Looking like a wild man. I'm serious. Crazy. When I get like that, I isolate. I don't want to be around nobody. Y'all might not want some of my stuff. Man, I ain't getting my stuff from nobody. No, you ain't getting nothing. It's sad. The newcomer is amazed at how we could bust out in merriment over something singularly tragic. That's in the big book. Today, let me tell you, my favorite reading in the big book is on page 124. It says, cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. That's my favorite reading in the big book. My past now, I don't have no shame behind it, but it was a shame. I promise you, it was a crying shame. So I gave my dad this sob story, how life ain't treating me right. I'm a convicted felon. I can't get in man, I ain't never had no problem getting a job, but I used it that. You know how we can manipulate? Dad, I got this convicted felon. They ain't going to hire me. Hell, come on over here, son. He lets me come stay with him. Now, I'm 40 years old at the time. He lets me come stay with him one more again. And that stepmom that I hated, I didn't mind staying with her because I had nowhere else to go. I was going to be homeless. And he said, come on over here and stay with us. You stay with me until we get you on your feet. And he had a wedding to go to, my niece's wedding. They didn't invite me because I was crazy. They knew I didn't have no business being at no wedding. He goes for a week. He comes back home. I stole his truck. Listen, this is not God's honest truth. I promise you, I had come to the jumping off point the big book talks about, wishing for the end. This is where I'm coming up to my bottom. I said, I'm going to steal all this stuff. I'm entitled. He owes me anyway. And when I'm done, I'm going to off myself. One way, shape, form, or fashion. Because I just couldn't get, have you been in that freaking alcohol abuse? You can't get out. Don't see no way out. There ain't going to be no help. I've tried everything. I am not going to be successful at staying sober. It's just not going to happen. I have to kill myself. But I never could have the guts. And it's funny how God works in a mysterious way. Him and the Guilford County Sheriff's Department must be in cahoots. Because I'm at the liquor house. After I stole all this stuff, my dad's coming home. Have y'all ever pawned something and said, well, I'm going to get it back later and then put it back? Y'all ain't never done that? And I never got it back. By the way, when you pawn something that don't belong to you, that's a felony. You steal your daddy's truck, that's larceny of a motor vehicle. That is a felony. And he was fed up because he had gave me chance after chance after chance. He went to the police. He told him he knew. He said, he's up there on Florida Street somewhere, up in one of them liquor houses, /use, put the C word on. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yes. And they found me there. 4 Greensboro finest. Picked me up one more time. I just got, oh, by the way, when I got out of prison, I told y'all I took a plea and I did 4 years. So I copped the plea. So I got them habitual criminal charges dropped in 2005. I did my time. I didn't have no parole or nothing like that. But here I am, less than a year. Let's see. I got out in April 2009, 2010, July the 7th, 2010, they picked me up at the liquor house. Charged me with 4 more felonies. Possession of stolen property, that's a felony. Larceny, obtaining property by false pretense, that's a felony. That's pawning stuff that don't belong to you. And here I am in a daze, going to jail. They put me on another $50,000 bond. I couldn't have made a $5 bond. Just couldn't. Nobody, everybody was done with me. I'm sitting in there. Now, my sobriety date's July the 8th, 2010. I got locked up July the 7th. That was the last time I took a drink. So I call my sobriety date July the 8th. I sit in there. I go to I know what AA is. I'm like, shh. And I didn't know that I was surrendered. And I didn't know if I wanted what you had. When I got here, I sure knew I didn't want what I had no more. My way was not working. Just like. But they had an AA meeting. I was like, let me go. I get out of the cell. And I went. And I didn't know I had surrendered. I had no idea. It took me a long time to figure out that I had surrendered on July the 7th. Because I tell you, when I'm in there for 2 months, I just know with every fiber that's within me, they're going to give me that 80 to 105 months minimum this time. There ain't no getting out of it. And I'm sitting in there going, I'm 40 years old. I ain't got 2 nickels to rub together. I'm getting ready to go to jail for 9, 10, 12 years. Guaranteed. No questions asked. And I deserve it. And I wanted to die. But I had no way to get dead. I had no way to, I just didn't. I had no way. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the courage. But God's grace and His mercy, yet seen it fit for another chance for this old rugged drunk, no good for nothing. As far as I'm concerned, scum of the earth. That's the way I felt about me. I didn't deserve it. 2 months into that sentence, into that jail, I'm sitting in there, I couldn't get out. 2 months into it, they get a thing on they come up and say, the CO came and said, Kip, there's somebody downstairs who will see you. I said, who is it, my public defender? And that's what I'm thinking, I'm going to see you. I get down there, this guy named Jeff Bennett is down there, and he's with the drug court of Guilford County. He said, he looked at me in my eye, he said, Kip, do you think you have a problem with alcohol and fill in the blank? I said, yes, sir. He said, do you want some help with that? And I said, of course I'm going to say yes. Like I said, I'm thinking this guy's going to be in my favor. So I said, yeah. I didn't know I was saying, I didn't know I was sincere at the time because I was just trying to, any way I could, I'd say anything to get out. Would y'all say anything to get out of jail? I would. I'd say anything to get out of jail. He said, I tell you what's going to happen, Kip. If you do everything we ask you to do for 1 year, this case is, now he told me, he said, I don't know how your name ended up on my desk. There ain't no reason or rhyme or any reason that your name should be on my desk. I don't know how, why, any of that. It just is. And he said, if you do everything we asked you to do for 1 year, we will dismiss these charges like it never happened. I said, sign me up. Of course. He said, you're going to be in drug court program, and you're going to go to drug court every 2 weeks. You're not staying in Greensboro. We got 2 cities, Greensboro and High Point, Guilford County. We're going to send you to High Point, you're homeless, you're going to send you to Caring Services, which is an outpatient treatment recovery community. And you're going to go do exactly what they tell you to do. You're going to go to a task officer once a week. You're going to go to the drug court coordinator once a week. You're going to go to drug court every 2 weeks. You're going to go to a probation officer every week. You're going to do a meeting every day, AA meeting or NA. You choose. I chose AA, and I'll tell you why I chose AA in a minute. And you're going to be home at 7 o'clock every night for the first 6 months. I said, no problem. I mean, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know if I wanted what you had, but I sure knew I didn't want what I had no more. Now, I get to carrying, well, I had a black garbage bag full of clothes at my dad's that he put at the curb like trash, which probably would have been better for the trash man just to take it. But I went over there, Jason Yates, he's the head guy over there at Caring Service, picked me up from jail. They released me in his custody. And I go by my dad's, get my little clothes. I got $0. The county's taking care of me. I don't have to pay the bill. All they want me to do is to do what we ask you to do. He said, for 90 days, you're not going to work. You're not going to do anything. You're going to work on your recovery. They sent me to anger management. Can you believe that? Like I need anger management. That was one of their stipulations. I did need anger management. I was mad at the world, didn't even know it. So I go, and I started going to the On Awakening meeting that meets at 7:30 a.m. every morning at the club in High Point. My first day, I go in there. I get there early because I can't sleep. I'm fit to be tied. You know, even being in jail 2 months helped me, but I'm still, it's insane. This is insanity of alcohol. I'm still wanting not to go to that meeting and go get me a drink. How insane is that? But somehow or another, I mustered the strength to get to that meeting. I walk in that meeting, 6:30 in the morning. This meeting starts at 7:30. Big old guy, about as big as that guy back there. He's by the coffee pot, right? He's making coffee. I walk in. He said, "All right, our chairman's here this morning." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm important. I know a little bit about it. I'm important. I've chaired. He chaired the meeting." He said, "No, I need you to stack these chairs over here. Put them over there, then mop the floor, and it dries, put them back." So, hey, look, that was an important job, y'all. I got to meet a lot of y'all stacking chairs. Man, I got so good with them tiles. Man, I had them chairs perfect every morning. Every morning I got up there and I took the trash out, and I stayed sober until I got a sponsor. Once I got a sponsor, then I began to work the steps. It takes some time, you know. I had to, you know, I did white knuckle it for a while, but I started out with service work, getting there early, something that I could do. I got there early. And for 2 months, I'd say, "My name's Kip, I'm just blessed to be here." I wouldn't even say I'm an alcoholic, because see, I thought that was just, you know, you don't say that about yourself. Who's going to say something negative like, "I'm an alcoholic"? And I went to my pastor about that. He said, if everybody in church would say I'm a sinner and I'm such and such, we'd be all on the same level. And ain't no big I's and little U's in church, ain't no big I's and little U's in AA. And then I read on page 417 towards the bottom, and then I read up to the top of 418. It says, "For years I was sure that the worst thing that could happen to a nice guy like me is I'd turn out to be an alcoholic. Today I have found that it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." The disease of alcoholism is the only disease on this planet that, if treated, leaves the sufferer in better condition than if they never had it. I'm a witness to that. I'm in better condition today because I am an alcoholic. I wouldn't have met none of y'all if I wasn't an alcoholic. Why would I even be here? I got that sponsor, and I began to work them steps, and I began to get free. I tell you what, there's 150 promises in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, 147 in the first 164 pages, and there's 3 in the Dr. Bob's Nightmare. And step 5 promises says we can be alone at perfect peace and ease. We can look the world in the eye. We are one with our Creator. Step 10 promises says by this time sanity will have returned. I'm not cocky about it. I'm not swearing off. The problem has been removed. I believe that with everything that's within me. You know, yes, I got a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. If I rest on my laurels, I'm headed for trouble. I know this. I know this 1,000%. I've been here, like I said, I've been here 12 years. I did everything they said in that drug court to do. My sponsor said, there ain't but one thing you need to change. I say, what's that? He said, everything. I did carpentry work for 25 years, you could say, from, minus being in prison, which was quite a bit. 5 times, that's a lot. But I was like, I got to do something different. And I was 40 years old. I could build houses from top to the bottom, framing them. This is what I did. I framed houses, I boxed interior trim, had my own business. I could do it. I could put 40 hips on a hip roof, angles and all that stuff. I can do all that and make good money doing it. But I wanted to change. I just wanted to do something different. And the drug court place in January, about halfway through my little spell there, they said, Kip, they want to help you. They said, Kip, how about let's get your driver's license back? I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had 4 different tickets in 4 different places. Carrying Services drove me, got me reset up, took me to those places. They dismissed all them charges, and I got my license back. A friend of mine in AA let me drive his vehicle to take the test. I got my license back somewhere in January of 2011, and I had planning all this out. Didn't have no money. I'm about ready to go to work. I've been in carrying service long enough now. I'm ready to get a job. And I didn't want to do carpentry work. So I went and applied for a car lot manager position. But I didn't have no license. Now, it's kind of hard to get a car. And I was like, man, if I get this job, I know I'm getting ready to get my license back the next day. They wanted to interview me on Monday. I'm getting my license back Tuesday. Well, they called and postponed it till Tuesday. I got my license back that Tuesday. I went for that interview at 3 p.m. They gave me all the keys, all the cars, all the titles, the keys to the building, and said, here, it's yours. You run it. This is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. And I explained to them in my interview that I had my own business. I know how to sell, blah, blah, blah. And I sold all them cars. They had no time. I thought I was a genius, right? Well, it was tax time. It was easy, right? I didn't know that, but God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. I thought I was something. Anyway, then I went 3 weeks without selling anything, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can stick this thing out. But right when I was about to throw in the towel, I sold like 4 or 5 cars in the day. I was like, man, this is where God wants me to be. And then, yeah, I did. I'm just like, man, I really love this. I get a phone call from this lady, real pretty lady. I didn't recognize her voice really, but she said, I need to see you, mister. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? I thought maybe, I had maybe got somebody pregnant out there, or I did some harm, or I did something. And she said, I need to see you. I'm like, who is this? She wouldn't tell me. Well, lo and behold, it was my high school sweetheart that I dated for 2 years in high school that got away, so to speak. And she wanted to see me. She just got separated. She found me on Facebook, and we started dating. We dated for 3 years. We got married. We stayed married. I know it sounds real pretty, don't it? And it was nice. And 2019, we separated. And 2021, we got divorced. It just, it was a beautiful thing. And I thought I don't regret the past today. I tried to make it work. She tried to make it work. It just didn't. I don't know. I don't have any other explanation for you than that. We fell out of love. Long story. We went to counseling. She wasn't as willing, and I wasn't as willing, and we just like, okay, let's just blah. Done. In 2015, I got good at selling cars, and I was like, man, I'm gonna start my own business, and I started my own business. And today, I've got my own business, and I paid for the lot. It's paid for, and I've got about we probably ain't got 100 cars there now, but we usually keep about 100 cars. I've got some good people that work for me, that take care of business. I worked around the clock for a long time getting that thing off the ground, and I couldn't believe it. It's just God did for me what I couldn't do for myself, and because of that, I've been able to take it easy here. Lately, I can go anywhere any free man can go. Last year, I traveled to Thailand. I traveled to the Philippines. I've been all over the world, guys, at AA meetings, and it's just a blessing. I mean, I go to conferences. God, I went on when some of y'all may know Clancy and Bob. They celebrated 60 and 40 years. I went on their cruise 4 years ago, and there was 300 alcoholics on the cruise ship. Conference like this on the cruise ship. Yeah, 11 o'clock at night before their celebration. We're all sitting there at a watch party, make sure they don't get drunk before the night. Yeah, having fun. It's called a watch party. And we had a meeting on St. John's under the shelter, you know, had a blast, man. I never had so much fun in my life. I attend lots and lots of conferences. I go to State Line in Las Vegas, Nevada with 1,200 alcoholics. Did that a year and a half ago and went to the stratosphere like a fool and jumped off of it. Can you believe that? A friend of mine asked me, would I do that with her? And I'm like, well, if a girl's going to do it, surely I got to do it. It's like, I don't know, 1,100 feet jump. What the heck am I going to do jumping off a daggone stratosphere? But anyway, I was there. We did a road to helicopter. I mean, I've been all over, man. I can go anywhere any free man can go. And I'm truly grateful for that. I'm going to tell you this little story here. I don't know if you remember my dad. Remember I told y'all I stole all that stuff from him. Well, you know, like any good parent, he starts seeing I'm ready to change, and I go to him about finances, and I said, Dad, I owe you a lot of money. And of course, like any good dad, he's going to say, Kip, I don't really want the money. I just want you to live right, and I want you to do right. And I said, no, this is something I must and have to do. My sponsor did not have to tell me to do this. I knew in my heart that I needed to pay that man back with interest, the stuff that I had stole from him. Monetary stuff, lots of money and lots of stuff I stole from him. So we sit down after he began to talk to me and seen that I was serious about this thing and made a list, and I paid that man back. Now my dad's like me, he loves cars, and he started working. When he retired, he started working for me at the car lot, and I paid him to work for me at the car lot. He would come and work for me and drive cars and take them here, take them there. I'd pick him up. We'd have a good time all day long, just me and my dad, running cars around. In 2020, September, my dad had a massive stroke. He was 83, 84 years old. He had quit working for me. He couldn't see good enough to drive anymore. And he had a massive stroke. At this time, well, let me back up just a little bit. I told you I've been sober 12 years. At my 9-year anniversary, at my home group, you're able to pick the speaker, you pick the readers, you get to have a cake, all that stuff. Well, you know, it's my day that day. My dad's there on my 9-year anniversary. The people asked, are there any announcements for the good of AA? He stood up. He said, yeah, I've got an announcement. I said, I really want to say thank you to all you in Alcoholics Anonymous for saving my son's life and giving me my son back. Whatever it is y'all are doing, please keep doing it, because he has completely changed. And man, I just broke down, just tears coming out of my eyes. Just him being there was a gift enough. And, you know, my first thought was, sit down, be quiet, you know. But the tears just started flowing. You know how we do, you know, it's not time for that, but it was time for that. It was perfect time for that. And man, I'll tell you, it just blessed my heart. And then, like I said, in 2020, I had a massive stroke. Here I am, COVID's going on, right? I got 2 brothers. I got some aunts and uncles that are kin, you know, his brothers and sisters. And they say, Kip, you're the most responsible family member we got. Will you please go up to that hospital? They wouldn't let but one person in there. So the family decided who it's going to be. You know, you got your own business. You can take care of your dad and report back to us and let us know what's going on with him. And I got the privilege. Remember, I told you my mom, I walked out on her. I said, I'm not lousing this up. I was there at that hospital every day until he passed away. When they put him in the, like the hospice area of the hospital, they were allowed my brothers to go in there and we seen him off to he's with the Lord Jesus. As far as I'm concerned today, I believe that with everything that's within me. And because I'm sober, I was able to pull money out of my account, pay for his casket, his burial, his funeral, until the insurance could help pay for some of it. We had a little bit. I got about half of it back, but I was able to do that. And and I didn't look for my brothers to do any of that. This was Alcoholics Anonymous. This is something I should do. I'm a son, and I don't need no attaboy or that's the right thing. No, that's just something I should have did anyway as a son. But if I was not in Alcoholics Anonymous and worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous with a sponsor and was able to stay sober one day at a time, I wouldn't have been there. I would have left my dad high and dry. It wouldn't have mattered to me. I'd have walked over his grave not caring, because alcohol takes from me every fiber that's within me. Anything that's good, that's going on with Kit, I sabotage it and I burn my life to the ground. And today, I'm able to say with full assurance of faith that Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life. I go to AA every day, just about. And like I said, that Zoom meeting we started, I don't really count that per se as an AA meeting, but it is. Don't get me wrong. We share, the fourth edition. If you read the fourth edition, the foreword to the fourth edition, it says, computer, modem to modem, AA speak language of the heart around the world. We can share the language of the heart through that computer. And when the COVID hit, that's all we had. So I got hooked on Zoom through AA. I love AA. I said, let's start an AA Zoomaholic meeting. So we started that every morning. So every morning it opens at 7:30, aazoomaholic.com. You just go right into the meeting. We have a meeting before the meeting, then we have a meeting from 8 to 9, and then we have a meeting after the meeting. And then on Wednesday night, like I said, if you want to hear Karen R. Crossing the River of Denial, she wrote that in the back of the big book. She's going to be speaking this week. On my last anniversary, I had Lyle Prowse. Some of y'all may know him. By the way, we're not anonymous among ourselves, so I can tell you his name. The good old timer, we're not anonymous among ourselves. Dr. Bob and the good old timer says that real clear. We're not anonymous among. Lyle Prowse came up here from Georgia and spoke at my 12-year anniversary. If y'all don't know him, he was the pilot that was driving an airplane, worked for Eastern Airlines, and he got grounded. And he wrote the story, Grounded, in the back of the big book. And he spoke at my anniversary. I've got Adam T. coming this year to speak for me. If you don't know Adam T., Google him. You think I'll make you laugh. Wait till you hear him. He is funny. He have you rolling. I mean, rolling. One of his favorite quotes, what I like, it says, any scheme to shield the alcoholic from temptation is bound to failure. He said he went to 28 treatment centers and none of that. He said he had $1 million big book. So only God could and would if he were sought. ABC. My life's unmanageable. I'm powerless over alcohol. No human power can relieve me of my alcoholism. God could and would if he were sought. That's what I believe. And today I'm going to tell you where the real reward for me is practical experience. It will assure us immunity against alcohol as intensive work with another alcoholic. That's where I get my reward. I go from 1 to 12, and then 12 back to 1 with another. And one thing I've learned is what I got. See, I didn't know what I had. Doctor's opinion tells me I got a physical allergy. I put liquor and other substances in my body, I break out in handcuffs. I got a phenomenon of craving. Once I put it in me, I can't turn it off. I got a mental obsession. It's all I think about. I remember when I didn't have no money, man, I could not stop thinking about it till I got some more. And then I got that vicious cycle. And that all consists of an internal spiritual malady. And, today, when I work on the spirit, all the other stuff just falls into place. Now, me and my wife separated. We got divorced. That was heartbreaking. Did I drink? No. Did my dad die? Did I drink? No, because I stayed in the middle of Alcoholics Anonymous. Y'all told me to stay in the middle. 90% of the time, if you see me at an AA meeting, I'm up towards the front in the middle. Because it's the physical and the spiritual kind of come together for this alcohol. I used to sit on the back where the shoes were. I don't know if y'all know the shoes, the slippers, the loafers, and flip-flops. Y'all know about that? It's a joke. I can sit in the back today. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Anyway, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I have fell completely in love with Alcoholics Anonymous, and have y'all? I mean, I've been here for a little while. Sometimes I get that feeling they don't care about me. Why do I even keep doing this? What's the point? Why? And that's foolish thing. And there I go again with that keen alcoholic mind. And then I come to but I'm gonna tell you, anything like going to a conference. If you need a joke, like I need an extra, like an umph, I go to a conference, buddy. They're coming up left and right. I'm going to the Appalachian Regional Roundup in the middle of March. Bob D, Kent C, Mari G, Ralph W, all them going to be there, and it ain't too far from here. If you want that information, you can, I'll give it to you after the meeting. It's the middle of March. And then the North Carolina State Convention's coming up in July. I plan to attend that in Lake Junaosca, if I'm pronouncing it right, in Waynesville, North Carolina, close to Asheville. They had meetings around the clock. I mean, marathon meetings. I'm talking about they have a 30-minute break and go into the next one. Or sometimes they just keep going. You just go and go and go. AA meeting, dang, that's a little excessive. Man, I drink excessively. I mean, I drank to oblivion. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, you can go on Zoom right now, go to aahomegroup.org. They got a 24/7 Zoom meeting. You need a meeting, go. I go on there. I mean, it's nothing like being face-to-face, in person, no question. But, it's sufficient substitute. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. And, that story I read you, the only way I can keep it is by giving it away. That's what I wanted to do tonight. About that corn, if I want the best, I got to give the best. I want the best sobriety, so I try to give out my sponsees. I try to give them what was so freely given to me. And I try to give you my experience, strength, and hope today. And this is if you look at your coffee cup, it says at the bottom of your coffee cup this year, it says a new life has been given us. But before that, on page 28, it says, we in our turn sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or if you prefer, a design for living that really works. I got a design for living today. The big book gives me specific instructions of what to do. I don't need to think. Have y'all been to AA meeting? You see that sign, think's upside down? I go over there, I was going to change it, turn upside down. Well, this thing ain't right. And they'd be like, no, that's what's wrong with you. Your thinking's upside down. It's twisted. I got a design for a living. It gives me clear-cut direction of what to do on awakening and let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. We take, the steps. When I first got here, I worked the steps. Step 1, I admitted I'm powerless. I can't. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Us. That's what I like. We. And then I made that decision. When I made that decision, that means I made a decision to keep right on going. I don't know if y'all noticed, you don't take breaks between the steps. It'll say at once or next. Just keep going. Because if I stop, then I'm going to get stagnant, and then I'll drink. It's just me. And the big book's really outlining and making that searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. My sponsor said, it ain't about you, Kip. It's really about you getting well so you can help the next sick and suffer. Because the big book says this book is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and our fellow man. How can I do that if I don't do a searching and fearless? I thought I had major contempt prior to investigation. This ain't going to work for me. Well, y'all proved me wrong. I was like, that first year, I said, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to do this just to show y'all it don't work. I did it and it worked. I didn't even have my heart into it, really. I'm like, well, I'm going to do it just to show y'all this don't work. I told y'all about I wouldn't say I'm an alcoholic. I got up about 2 months into that thing. I got up about the same amount of people, maybe not quite as many people. It's about 60 or 70, 80 people in that meeting. And when they come around, you know how you do. They go around and introduce yourself. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm a grateful alcoholic. My name's Kip. This is my first standing ovation in Alcoholics Anonymous. Everybody stood up and said, we're so glad you finally figured it out. Anyway, and you know, ever since, I found out it's a good thing. It's not a negative to say I'm an alcoholic. It's the best thing ever happened to me. My perception has changed. When I worked the steps, being an alcoholic's good, because I wouldn't have met none of y'all. Why would I have come here to see y'all if I wasn't an alcoholic? I have no reason to come here. I come here, and now I got a life I never dreamed I even wanted. When me and my wife separated, I ended up buying a house. I got my credit score up. These are things that come about through the process of sobriety. You know, people trust me today. I had a guy give me $100,000, said, here, use it. Can you believe that? Me? I'm a taker. Of course, he's going to get some interest money back behind that, but if I say I'm going to do it today, that's one thing I have built is some integrity. If I tell you I'm going to do something, Dennis, when I said I'm coming, and I'm going to be here early. That's one thing I pride myself in, if you will, or whatever. I hold myself real high today. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I just simply am. And I'm grateful that I can. And if I can't, I'm going to call you, Dennis, well in advance to say, hey, something came up, and something dramatic had to happen for me not to come, so that you can get a substitute or somebody to fill in. I'm not going to wait till the last minute. And I'm grateful today on such a level. I always say I'm a grateful alcoholic. Y'all said it was a grateful alcoholic's a sober alcoholic. And I've learned so much from Chuck. He gives me, he's like me. I love acronyms. Y'all love acronyms? Anger. Any new grudge endangers recovery. He gave me that one. Get angry. If I got a grudge, they say resentment's the #1 offender. I need to be aware of that stuff. How do I get rid of a resentment? On page 552 gives me specific instructions. Pray for that person for 2 weeks that you'd want exactly what would happen for yourself, and it will be relieved. And that's what happened to me. Slip, sobriety, loses its priority. You know, that's how I'll get a slip if sobriety loses its priority. I've got one that I like, is changed. Choosing honesty allows new growth each day. I love these acronyms, and I got tons of them on my phone. Every time somebody says it one, I just put it down because it's just, they're cool to learn, and it's got a lot of meaning behind it for this alcoholic. But I just want to say that I love each and every one of you. I didn't meet none of you really before this weekend, and I feel like you're my family, and I believe that. I believe that we have that common bond, one alcoholic touching another alcoholic. And I always say what comes from the heart always touches the heart. And that's all I got. Thank you.